Caitlin, thank you so much for joining me today on Owner's Member Spotlight.
Hello, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I would love for you to tell the audience what your business does over at Honey and Hive and who do you serve?
Sure. So, Honey and Hive is an all in one marketing solution for typically small business owners and then earlier stage startup founders. So, what we like to do is we like to come in and be their marketing team because something that we've found with working with so many business owners is really the biggest restraint for them is the amount of time and even just the ability for them to dedicate themselves to doing proper and sufficient and sustainable marketing for their business. Something has to give, whether it's other business tasks or it's their marketing. It never really works too well. So coming in, we've really seen this impact that we can make for business owners where they can just trust us. We'll just get it done. We manage other vendors if we need to, but they have a reliable team that's going to help them achieve the goals that they want through their marketing efforts.
Amazing. Yeah, you summed it up beautifully where I feel like you have created a solution that very much feels in-house. Having
Mhm.
worked with you with an owners club and a few of our other businesses, it feels like you are the marketing department as opposed to an
Yeah.
outsourced solution.
Well, I'm really glad that you validated because that's really what we want to achieve. If there's any potential clients or even clients that I sales pitch them now, they'll recognize the saying. But I really like to call ourselves chameleon contractors. So we're
Yeah.
not like the normal contractor that comes in and you have a meeting every once in a week. It's all digital. Like no, I'm at client events, I'm wearing their gear, I'm tabling booths and such. All of my team has our merch from our clients and we're speaking their language. Sometimes people have come up to me and said, "Oh, when did you join Progressive Motion?" And I go, "Oh, actually," or "When have you joined, Blue Ocean or something like that?" And we're like, "Oh, actually, we're our own business and we just work with them. We've worked with them for 2 years." But that's exactly what I want to achieve is you can't even tell that we're a whole separate company.
I love that. And so what do you have planned next for Honey and Hive?
So we have some big things. I think that naturally our business has really evolved into two separate directions. One, we're finding, we didn't really start off as this all-in-one solution. We were really just doing social media, paid ads, emails, very simplistic and the essentials of marketing. And just naturally, all of our clients have needed more. They need assets,
Yeah.
they need events, they need us to go and speak to people or develop sales pitches for people, and we have just evolved to be able to offer that. So kind of two directions that we're headed in is one, this fractional director of marketing role. So we really just come in and we're your quarterback. We just get things done. It doesn't matter. We don't look at scope, we don't look at deliverables. It's just a set amount and we do anything that it takes to get the job done, and that has worked really well for a few of our clients. And we've just been able to thrive together because there really are no limitations there, and we have the resources that we need to accomplish those things. The other direction, which has seemed to become almost a result of the pandemic, really, is this community activation type of role or event marketing. So, actually meeting with people in person and building those in person connections because we were digital for so long, or we had such limited touch points that people coming out of the pandemic and even 2024 being almost 2 years out of the pandemic, everyone's just craving that in-person interaction and that networking piece. And so that has worked really well for clients. And what Honey and Hive does is we come in and not only plan and execute the entire event, but we market it completely. And so that is something unique that we offer compared to other companies who they don't have that marketing expertise, but we have the marketing expertise backed by my experience for a few years doing a lot of events as well. So that has worked really well for a lot of our clients.
You were frozen there for a minute. Am I back?
You're back. Am I back?
Okay. Yes, you're back.
Good.
Okay. Amazing. Um, so walk me through what is your origin story of your professional career, even before starting Honey and Hive? Take me way back.
Sure. So I went to Menlo College. I'm originally from Southern California in Long Beach, and I'm in the Bay Area now because I went to Menlo College on a soccer scholarship. So I played soccer in college. I think it was very transformative for my career, being an athlete. And, that is the first real situation where you learn how to multitask than no other, So
Yeah.
I really enjoyed my time playing soccer in college. During college, we were required to do an internship. And so I did my internship at Mathnasium of Redwood City, which is actually still a client of mine and now a client of Owners Club
Yeah.
and
Oh, I didn't know that
FYA.
connection.
Yes. So I've been with her for about 6 years now. It's crazy to think about. And during my time there and the time I've worked, we've been the number 6 mathnasium. We even made our way all the way up to the number 1 mathnasium. There I was able to do a lot of awesome work. But talking specifically about that summer that I interned, that's where it really opened my eyes that small business owners just need someone that they can count on. They just, for marketing specifically, and I'm sure in all other aspects also, but in my instance it was really for marketing. So for 3 months we just had, I was just running all of our marketing, our social media, our assets, flyers, even community relationships. We created little events and pop-ups and stuff like that. And in that 3 month period of time, we doubled the enrollment of the amount of students that we had in 3 months, just because someone
Wow.
was totally focused and all invested in. And that just completely, I always knew I wanted to be a business owner. From a small age, I thought I was going to be like a hairstylist and be like a Paul Mitchell, and create my own. Because my uncle was a hairstylist, and so I was around that a lot. Like, I just knew I wanted to be a business owner, and that was the direction. Then I wanted to do event planning. Then I came into this situation, and I was just so. I was so like my eyes were open to how much I can help and how much good I can do if I just help small business owners set up this system and took it on their plate and be that reliable person for them. So I did that. Graduated college, I kept on that job just on a part-time role during college and hourly, and worked it here and there. But then my senior year, I took this class. It was like a 1 credit class with this woman named Andy Cunningham. And I just read her bio and was just like floored with how amazing she was. She was a pioneer in this very specific area of marketing called positioning. It's really strategic messaging. She's one of the main founders of this space, really. And she really took it to market and evolved it and such. And she actually worked with Steve Jobs launching the Macintosh. She does not personally have a brief cameo in one of the Jobs movies, but there's a character playing her because she was so important in that
Wow.
period of time in Steve Jobs' history. And so honestly, like, she came in, I saw that she was teaching this class, and I signed up for that class. I had an awesome idea for the campaign that they were going to do in the class, and my goal for that class was to get a job with her after. I remember
Oh, I
telling my
love it.
boyfriend just in the car when I was filling out this application, like, I'm going to get a job from this woman after. That's my goal, and why I'm going to put myself through this on top of everything. And so we ended up going through this class. We did this. So how it worked was 3 different groups had to come up with a campaign. And the goal of this class really was to utilize the power of students and their minds to create a marketing campaign for potential students. So kind of using like all their knowledge, and Andy led this. So my campaign was to really focus on the return on investment of alumni. So what I went and did is I went and interviewed alumni and talked to them about, like their time at Menlo, what it resulted in. So I was talking to people at Google, I was talking to people at Plug and Play, and we were talking to all these really cool and high level techs just to show potential students, like, when you go to Menlo, these are the options for you. So we presented in front of the board of trustees, and my group won. So my group ended up winning.
Oh, amazing.
That was exciting and enough. But then, and I'm so busy at this time. I'm so tired. I'm like ready to graduate. Andy goes, does anyone want to be a project manager for this group? And no one said anything. So I was like, I will. Knowing that it was just another thing to add on to my plate. But that was the best decision I made in my life. So thus far, I'm only 26 right now, but um, I signed up for that opportunity, and I had so much one-on-one time with Andy that she got to see what it was like for me to like work with her and such. And so that it ended up, I wanted to go into event planning. It didn't work out, probably for the best because of COVID. I called up Andy, do you have any jobs? Like, I'm struggling to find a job right now. Do you know of a marketing associate position? She's like, oh yeah, actually, I would like to hire you if that's okay. And I was like, oh my God, that would be amazing. So then I met with one of her team members at the time. We had kind of an informal interview, and she hired me right then and there. So that's kind of where my background is. I spent a year. Sorry, that was so long, but I spent a year or 2 years working with her. I was I forgot what I was called at the moment, but I was like a strategist for positioning. Then I transitioned into running our content marketing department because it was just very natural to, we're coming in with all this messaging. Our clients don't know how to implement any of that messaging into any of their channels. So, okay, Caitlin, you have experience from working at Mathnasium doing all this marketing for businesses and such. You can lead that department. So I ended up at some points, I think I had about 6 content marketing clients, and then I'd have 4 or 5 positioning clients. So, I was doing 2 jobs at the time. But I liked the agency life. Like, I think I just had the brain for it, which is natural because now we're an agency as well. But 2 years in, basically, Andy was ready. It was a family business. She was ready to retire, and she didn't really want to. She didn't want to have to be responsible for other people's salaries. And I get it. She's at the point where she's worked all her life and she wants to relax and just be able to focus on what she's passionate about. So she ended up letting everyone go. But for me, she ended up proposing, hey, you can either create this content marketing business underneath the umbrella of my business, or I had a side business at a time working with super, super small businesses. And the Girl Dad Show was actually one of my first clients. So that's where we all started with the Girl Dad Show. Or she said, hey, I'll, as kind of to pay it forward, I'll give you 3 of your clients. And if they agree to move forward with you, you can take those 3 clients and go start your own business, build up your small business into a big business. Yeah. And so, her mentor had done that for her when she started her PR business, Regis McKenna, if you're familiar with Regis McKenna. He did that for her, and so that kickstarted. So she was kind of paying it forward to me, and she did that for me. And they ended up saying, I still have one of them to this day, and that was almost 3 years ago. 2 of them have transitioned to, hiring internally and stuff, which is very natural in this job. So, and I still have, I still follow them along. But yeah, that's really how I got to. It's such a unique and different. People ask me, how did you get started? I'm like, I don't know how to replicate this. Really,
yeah, you're like, I'm not even sure if I'd be able to do it again. But there are some themes to your story that I feel like are very tangible, where it's like the saying yes, even when it's probably not ideal, is so necessary, especially in the beginning. And it's not something that maybe I would suggest for later stage owners, but for early stage owners, it is like a key to success, is just say yes to things, even if it's like project management, like not even what you're necessarily interested in, but still gets you to possibly that goal that you had. And then what's also interesting about your journey that I think makes you very unique as both an owner and a marketing expert is you're so results oriented. Like, what goal you want coming into, like, to when you go into a situation. You also, from working with you, even, like, I've never worked with such a results oriented marketing department in any job I've had, where it's like you're not just doing a campaign to do a campaign and like make sure it's pretty. You're doing a campaign to get X result or event activation or all of these things. And that probably comes a lot from the work you did with Andy and within her organization of like, you have such a results oriented mind where you're not just doing anything to do it, which is so amazing to see. And although I couldn't replicate your career story, it's very interesting to hear.
I really appreciate that. And yeah, I would just to echo what you said about saying yes and being open to those opportunities. I got on the phone with my mom, and because I had the support of Young. So I met Young, which he was influential in this story. And I just totally left him out. But he was right there with me, convincing me he was always constantly in my ear too when I was working at this company. He was a bad influence. He was in my ear like, you need to start your own business. You just leave and start your own business. And I'm like, what the heck is wrong with you? I can't do that. I'm 23, you know what I mean? stop. And so, but when it came to that point, he was right there with me, like, we'll do this together. I'll help you out. And so he's actually a part owner of my business because of that. But ultimately, Young was huge, but ultimately it was my mom. Because my mom, I called her and she's like, you know what? Just try it. Like, what's the worst that can happen? Yeah, I had a dog. I have a dog at the time. She's like, get a job at Costco. Just pay your rent. Pay for Phoebe's food and your food, I guess too sometimes. But just give it a try, And so I really appreciated that advice, and I never had that risk mindset. And I think it just pays off when you just try things, give it a go, say yes, and just you can always have a backup plan and such. But that was really influential into where we are now.
Yeah, I mean, you're spot on. You need to pay rent, you need to pay the baseline bills, and having that fiscal visibility into your own personal finances will make sure that you are at least safe in starting a business. And a lot of people either stick with their 9 to 5 before carrying out, or for you, you were given a portfolio of 3 clients to maybe survive off
Mm-hmm.
of,
Yep.
with the idea of like you can always work an hourly job if you need to make ends meet. But when you're young, your costs are also a lot lower, which is the cool thing for young entrepreneurs, is like your costs are just so much lower pre-kids or pre-mortgage or pre all the
Mm-hmm.
other things. So my next question for you, which kind of ties into this, but maybe you can fill in this tiny gap for us, is when, why, and how did you make the jump to be a business owner? So I think you've answered the when. I think the how is really important. So, like, what did those early months of founding Honey and Hive really look like? Like, what did you have? What did you not have? How were
Yeah.
you feeling? Take us through that point of
So
time.
I think my biggest piece of advice is the what I did have was young, and even if you don't have a young, having just someone who has experience and having a mentor like that to help guide you, because even just the simplest of things like creating an LLC, getting an EIN, registering your business, I didn't know how to do any of that. Or we knew kind of because we had done that for our super small business, which was Hustlin' Honeys, which is where Honey and Hive derived from. And so, but I think Young even helped me with that, to be honest, to an extent. And so having just someone to just lean on, and it can be, your uncle that owns that pizza shop, they had to go through that. So it doesn't have to be someone like Young who has 20 who's been through this so many times and has 20 side gigs and 8 full-time businesses, and so what I had was a really strong support system with that. But how I made that transition is I did have those 3 really essential clients, and to be totally truthful, I could have just survived on those 3 clients alone, and my salary didn't really dip that much, because that was a really, like, I'm very grateful for that gift I was given. And I had to, so how it worked is we kind of went through a transition period. So we made the announcement to them that I was going to be starting my own business. And I told each of my clients, like, this is what the situation is going to be. We're going to go through a 2-month transitional period of time where we're not working with that business anymore that you came to us through. You're just working with Honey and Hive. And for 2 months, we're just going to see what it's like. Are you guys open for that 2 months to try that? Everyone's like, sure, of course. And ultimately, I was working with them anyway so closely, so things really didn't change all that much. And then at that 2-month part, we created a new contract. So the contract for all of them was now with Honey and Hive, and I had to have a conversation with all of them. So, are you willing to, continue working with me? And it was pretty much an outstanding yes from all of them. And it was just, I don't know, I felt like we had made it. I was like, okay, cool. Like, we have this strong foundation, and then it was just a matter of how do we scale it from here. And I had a side, I mean, a co-founder at the time also. So she was working her job still and doing that part time, and then I went all in on Honey and Hive and worked with Young on some of the things, and she worked part time as she could. But until that was in March, June was when we officially became Honey and Hive, and then she quit her job in November and joined us full time. So yeah.
Amazing. Oh my gosh. And what year was that? Was that 2020?
2021. So we're going on our third,
2021.
it'll be our third year in June. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And tell me, and I'm well, one thing that I want to pull out from that story that I have learned from is like, despite it being even called a trial period or not, those first few customers that you have, I feel like when you're starting a new business, you really should, like, they should be treated like royalty within your business, in the sense of like, work as hard as you possibly can to please them, constantly get feedback, treat it like a trial where they are not tied to you, because
Mhm.
their happiness and commitment towards you and like choice to go with you is just so important. And so the fact that it actually was an official trial within your business is really interesting and cool to hear.
Mhm.
um, I'd love to learn, so from 2021 to now, what are some of the highs of the business or tiny wins that have gotten you so excited and made you keep going, and what are some of the struggles that have like kept you up at night or been stresses that you've had to overcome?
Sure. So I would say some of the wins have really been hiring milestones. I mean, because we've had financial milestones and we've had client milestones and such, but I I heard someone say this to me and it always stuck with me. Because you can hire as many interns as you want, right? Because you just pay them hourly, you have a couple hours and stuff like that. But the moment you hire someone full time, like you're paying someone's salary, you're paying for someone's livelihood at that point. Like that is a huge marker. Like someone is dependent on you in a way, and you're you're creating a workplace for that person. Like that's when you really know that you've made it. And so, or at least when, based on what this person had said to me, and it was just like a random comment too, and I was like, you're so right, like that is totally right. And so I would say some of the wins were, of course, we work with so many different industries, and just being able to really double down on industries and learn the ins and outs. That is just, it's awesome. Like I'm just a naturally curious person, and so learning about all that stuff has been really fun. And seeing what some of our clients have accomplished too with our help is, you know, some clients have hit their first $1 million month, and then some clients are, we've helped them get 200% more leads and things like that. And that just is, it's just shocking to me that I can ultimately help other small business owners hit those milestones and reach their dreams and such too. That makes it all worth it. But I would say probably the biggest milestone for me has now been, we now have four of us full time. So that's
Wow.
crazy. Yeah, that's crazy to think about, that I have four people that are, on my team. They're dedicated to my team. And that's been really big. And I think, just speaking on that, I've really found a lot of joy in creating a workplace that I'm proud of also. Because I've been in a couple, I really haven't been in like a corporate world, really. Like from my, you heard from my story, it's always been really small businesses or a boutique agency. But everywhere you go, you pick up things that you like, you don't like, you work with personalities and stuff like that. And so at my company, we're a life first organization. So I don't know if I love the term like balance, like work life balance and stuff like that, but I do believe that we work in marketing. We're not doctors. We're not saving lives. If you need to take care of yourself first, like that's what you're going to do. And so that has been really rewarding as well, is how can I create a workplace that my team loves to come to work every day? As much as you can love to go to work, like they enjoy their work and such. So that's been really rewarding. Um, and then in terms of the lows, we went through some we've gone through some interesting clients that just haven't matched our vibe, haven't matched what we're able to deliver, or the expectations weren't there and such. And it's okay. Like at first I thought, we're a failure because we weren't able to give them exactly what they want. But no, you just learn what you're capable of and what you're able to um, what clients you're willing to work with, and ones that really fuel you and ones that really drain you. And I vowed that I do not want to work with clients that drain me, or I'm so worried about what they're thinking or what's coming next. I don't want to be my work to be at a cause my mental health to be a certain way either, and I don't want that for my team either. So I think that has been, those lows have turned into highs also, because we've really figured that out. But I think the biggest challenge for us is we actually went through a founder change as well. So I did have a co-founder, and I wish her nothing but the best. And that was a big learning curve about what do I expect out of partnerships? What do I want out of someone who is supporting our business? And who are the type of people I need on my team? And so it just ultimately, we weren't at the same level, and we weren't at the same, we didn't have the same vision for the business and such. And so we ended up buying her out. So now I own like more majority of the business than I did before with a founder. And then Young is a part of the business as well. And so it's been the two of us. And I think that's been a struggle because, or for anyone out there who's just a sole founder, you'll get it. But when you have a co-founder, you have someone to bounce ideas off of, and you have someone to
Yeah.
be a sounding board and to make decisions together. It's not all on you of, oh my God, am I making this right decision? Because I don't have anyone to really talk to. But when I had a co-founder with me, it was every single decision I made, we had a conversation about it because we didn't make any decisions not together. We always made decisions together. And so that was a tough transition. And then transitioning from 4 people to 3 people and splitting up the work, it was a 6 month period of time where we were really figuring it out. Like, we were grinding, and but we came out of it. And we hired another full-time person, and she has been amazing, and our team has really up-leveled and stepped into the roles that we needed them to. And so, it was a really tough time, but now we're ready to hit the ground running in 2024 and start scaling.
I love it. Well, thank you first of all for being open, because I think that sometimes people are the theme of both your wins and your struggles since starting the business, and it's like people are the unpredictable part of business, or it's like there's so many things you can forecast or know are going to happen, but then people add this element of they're unpredictable, they can be challenging, or they can be the best thing for the business. And what's interesting about your once having a co-founder and now not is that co-founder piece, like we cannot probably say it enough, where it's like it's closer than, well, it's Young argues it's closer than like being married, essentially, because you don't necessarily tell your partner, like you don't take your partner through your work day usually, whereas your co-founder is going through every single day with you. And sometimes
Right.
at the inception of a business, when it's just a small idea and you don't even know work styles, it's super exciting. But then when work styles come into play in every single little facet of the business, it can be a detriment if it's not clicking. And it doesn't mean one party's right or wrong, but it's just like,
Right.
it's literally harder than a marriage to keep together. And so knowing exactly who you're getting into founding a business with is just so critical, and it can save you the headache later on.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was definitely a great lesson, though. I think too, anyone
Yeah.
who's going through this, it just I feel more armored and ready for the next time. Like, even anyone I hire, I know what to look at, I know what to look for. And that goes for any employee that we've had and not had. You keep learning along the way. And so ultimately it was a low in a situation, but I feel like all lows turn into highs for one way or another.
Well, and you know yourself better. Like it's a relationship that you
Mhm.
probably learn a lot about yourself. Um, so when have been moments that you've leveled up your business? I know you've mentioned hiring, but have there been moments where it's like, oh my gosh, this is a huge next level that we're reaching together as a team?
Next, so I would say maybe just this year in general, one of our goals is to up level the entire team. And so um, I'm just really conscious, kind of what you're talking about being results driven. I just always want to make sure that, because I'm a younger business owner, as you heard from my experience. Typically when people start businesses like this, they have 10 plus years of experience in the corporate world, and then take all that experience and go and start their business. And that's not me. I had very, very important instruction in a very specific area of marketing, which I utilize in all of my businesses. And positioning is the foundational piece of every single marketing engagement. So that was very valuable. But in terms of the content marketing piece, everything I know I've taught myself, or I've taught from having mentors. Like I have a paid ads mentor that I rely on heavily and stuff. And so putting those people in your corner is super important, for just not, for making sure that we are staying results oriented and we're giving those clients who are now evolving their businesses, we can keep up with them as they're evolving their businesses. So that is a huge goal for 2024, is not even involving myself, because I need to too. It's not even, I think that every business owner should constantly, you're like, we're never an expert exactly in what we're doing. We got to keep evolving. And I know that for sure for myself. I'm starting to, go to webinars and stuff like that and take courses and things. And so something that I want to do with my team is go to a monthly webinar. Like we'll go to a monthly webinar together. We'll digest it. We'll debrief it and stuff like that. So we're all growing together. And something that I just did for my team too is we all just had interviews about what do you want to do with your career at Honey and Hive, because I've told them all, like, I want you in this for the long run. I want you here with me for as long as you want. And if that's not what you want, then that's fine. But I want to make sure that we're investing in you, and because it's ultimately going to help us as a business and help them in their career. So we did interviews for everyone, and so we can create custom paths and custom education plans for every single person as well. And so that's I think that's the biggest way that we're up leveling in terms of like our knowledge ourselves, and then to match the demands of the marketplace and what our clients are needing, really is providing those extra new services like the community activation and the fractional director of marketing to be able to meet the needs of our clients too.
Oh my God, I love that. Despite saying that you have limited work experience or corporate experience, you have so many key things that I think people would be lucky to work for or in that
Thank
environment. Because
you.
like you have a true care for the people working under you, and you really want to know what they want outside of even their role. So that is amazing. Um, who have been some critical players and moments that have helped you scale? So you've mentioned that you have this ads mentor, you have Young, but who are some people that you like to keep in your corner, in your arsenal, and have as a resource to ask for help when you need it?
Yeah, I would say those are two of the main ones, really. Of course, like my partner I rely on, and I think one of the things I love about him the most is how supportive he is. And so he works in marketing too. He works in the partner sphere, so he gets the client side of things, so I can, refer on him, just in terms of that, needing someone to vent to or needing someone to bounce ideas off of and such. But in terms of more of the technical space, Young, absolutely. And then Young and then Sam, our ads expert, are two great people that I refer to. But Young has actually been introducing me to a lot of people, and something for 2024 that I'm really trying to be more conscious of is my network too. So talking to people who, especially since I have a very clear idea of where I want to be headed in towards my education, how I want to up level the business. So he's been introducing me to people who I can leverage. Like he introduced me to a woman in Liberty Hill who, she has really revolutionized, in a very male dominated industry, the culture of the business. And culture is so important to me, and so being able to rely on her, and I talked to her right before we went on our offsite, and I implemented some of the ideas that she had in our offsite. So like I'm starting to build up this arsenal of people, around me, and I'm just in the beginning phases. So I'll have to check back in with you on this question, but I am in the process of, doing that. And then I would even just say, like, talking to clients too has helped, because I have to I have to remind myself they're business owners just like me. We have a lot of the same struggles also. Like I'll talk to, a client who is very, very wise, and he's always willing to give advice, and he's always willing to share what he's going through too. So we kind of have that open dynamic, but even just learning from him, because he's doing everything for the first time also. And even though I'm, helping with marketing, he can see that, I'm a business owner for the first time also. So I enjoy having those relationships with my clients too.
I was going to say, yeah, you know firsthand even how they're feeling, which is a perk to going with an agency like you, where it's like you
Mhm.
understand that they have budgets or they have expectations, and
Mhm.
it's like you do as well for your business. Okay, so my last question that ties all this together is, what would you say to a business owner out there who is thinking about joining a community or thinking about building a network like you are? What would be some of your suggestions?
So I think it depends on type of the person that you are also, because some people it's very natural for them. So some people can go into a room, they can instantly make friends, and they have a million things to talk about. For me, it's really hard. It's really hard for me to just throw myself into those situations, or even in these networking calls that I'm having. Trying to come up with, oh my God, what am I going to ask them next? I'm like constantly freaking out. So I think what's really helped me is setting myself up for success and knowing, just reminding myself and being in that mindset of how important this is. Because, you're not going to come swinging out of the gate saying, hey, then thanks for meeting you. Give me some leads. Like, no,
Yeah.
this is a real person. You're building relationships with them. And so treat it as that. Like, treat it as you're doing research on them. What do they care about? Asking them questions that, really leverage their experience and such. And almost putting on what this is, I don't know if this is weird, but almost putting on like a persona that kind of helps me of like, I'm confident. I know exactly what I want out of this. And I'm going to talk to this person about X, Y, and Z, and just kind of prepping yourself for those moments. But um, that helps me when you're a little bit more introverted in situations. But ultimately, I just understand how important it is to have a community like this and to be and constantly be networking, because you just never know what path you're going to come across that is going to set you up for success later. Like, I never thought in a million years that this random guy that walked into the office of my WeWork an agency, like, he's gonna be my business partner one day. Like, that's wild, but that's exactly what happened. And so I would say, yeah, just setting yourself up for success before those moments.
I love it. Okay, well, thank you so much, Caitlin. I've so appreciated your time. I feel like I didn't know most of your story, so I've learned a bunch from you, and I can't wait to see what Honey and Hive accomplishes this year with networking and growing your circle and expanding, but then also the years to come.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.